Is an Israel sex line.
And the discus thrower who lost his fiancée and lost a leg, but didn't lose the spirit to go for gold in it. Also on the program tonight, the parents exposed. Earlier this week, we introduced you to the man with Australia's worst phone bill. Murray Goods had $15,000 worth of sex calls billed to his account, calls he never made. Well, we've tracked down the phreakers who did make those calls, and they claim they can pull the same stunt on anyone's phone. They boast about the way they can fool Telstra and its customers, you. But they're not the least bit sorry.
A good phreaker and maybe some advice could really bring a communications carrier onto its knees, shut it down even.
These are phreaking utilities. I can download just by clicking the mouse on the name.
Earlier this week, we brought you the story of numerous phone users who were the victims of phone fraud, the illegal use of their numbers by others to make free calls. In the current jargon, it's known as phreaking.
In Australia, it's extremely easy. It's anyone, basically, with a little bit of electronics knowledge could do it.
The worst case on record has just been detected. The phone belonged to Adelaide man Murray Good.
Well, the total account after 6 weeks was in excess of $15,000.
And now we've caught up with the culprits, 2 young men from Perth who want to remain anonymous but still take the credit for ripping off $15,000.
The idea was to do some sort of shock here. We needed to create a shock. Just using the phone for local cheap calls would not have, produced any sort of reaction from Telstra. So we picked the most expensive number we could possibly find, which is an Israel sex line. Charges extremely highly. It's a very, very nasty line.
Mysterious calls to Israel come as no surprise to 2 Sydney phreaking victims with bills ranging from $1,300 to $1,600 for just 1 month.
The first thing we looked at were all these international calls, because we don't make international calls. And they're to Guyana, Israel, San Tome.
There are just pages and pages of phone calls, all 0011 international calls to the Dominican Republic, San Marino, Moldova, all these amazing places. And they all seem to be, so I've been told, fantasy line, sex calls.
There is a slight bit of a thrill in doing something a bit illegal.
What is immediately apparent is just how simple the process can be.
The idea is basically to change your electronic serial number to somebody else's, and thereby they would now receive the bill for any calls you make.
It means that if everyone wanted to do it, they could go and find the information and no one would ever have to pay a phone bill.
Telstra deny the existence of phreaking, but say they are aware of phone cloning, reprogramming one mobile phone with the number of another.
Now that that's done, we're all ready to run the software which programs the mobile phone. It only takes you, I'd say, 10 minutes to get it all going. And you've got a free phone to use on whatever you want.
A quick search through the internet is enough to convince you that phreaking, using computer software to reroute calls through someone else's number, is real enough.
There are no secret passwords here, there are no hidden codes. It's easily accessible by any person on the internet.
Neil Aitchison is a legitimate internet expert and is able to lead us to the phreaking programs that are publicly accessible.
Judging from what the information tells me, I'm able to duplicate someone else's phone number and make the call, and the bill will be charged on their account.
Of course, putting this into effect is illegal, but it doesn't stop there. False phone card numbers can also be generated.
This program that we've just launched is telling us that we can generate a new calling card number for an AT&T calling card, similar to the Telstra phone cards that you can purchase.
Telstra claims that landline and digital phones are safe. Not so, say the phreakers.
You can, of course, phreak using landlines. They were the first thing to be phreaked. We're talking with the Telstra head of network security, and yeah, he happened to say digital's all being done in some other countries. We use the same system as other countries, so therefore it can also be done here.
So far, Telstra has dug in its heels, telling teacher Dion Lavelle Nixon Their system is faultless.
It's pretty disturbing when people treat you so inconsiderately and make you out to be a liar.
We just had a whale of a bill you wouldn't believe from Telstra.
This is the second time Dawn Gallagher says she's fallen victim to phreaking, with the same response from Telstra.
You're made to feel as if you're the one that's trying to rort the system, and that isn't so.
Despite their fraud, the phreakers say they've done all this for the public good, if not for Murray's good.
The public has a right to know if their network is like this or not. I mean, if you were going to get a business, would you put it in a building which is unsecure?
Do you think they really needed to chalk up $15,000 in calls to make their point?
I have some doubt in my mind because if you are out to prove a point, I don't see that it's necessary to involve innocent people. I think they could have done it in another manner.
Now, yesterday, when they rang you to apologise, what did you think?
Well, I found it very hard to accept an apology because I think if they were smart enough to be able to work out how to tap into my system, surely they were smart enough to realise that the account was going to be billed to me.
Remorse to one side, the phreakers now may face serious charges following their questioning by federal police.
Some of the charges carry 10-year jail terms and 5- and 2-year jail terms for some of the smaller ones. So, yeah, the consequences could be extremely dire if we're found guilty. It could mean a rather large jail term.
Well, it might be a bit of a joke to the phreakers, but it's certainly not funny for the people left to pay their bills. Next up...